Pattaya City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
That was a bit of an anticlimax. No, they're just going to forward. I think you know all about that already, mate. You know? No, we'll just forward the pictures as we see fit. You want to be able to see them? Okay, cool. All right. But people will miss your handsome face. All righty. Oh, watch out.
Stories. Turn it off. Mind your hand. In there. Are you gonna scroll through the photos?
They are.
All right. Okay.
They have the power.
So I'll go back to the first one, if you will. Take your time. Can you go back? All right. So that picture there. Hello. That photo there, if I can explain, was a guy who stayed in one of the rooms many years ago. He was a reformed alcoholic, very, very hard to find friends, make friends. And he talked my ears off and really got boring. And anyway, he started phoning my wife, and she didn't understand him. She was Thai, of course, and very quickly put the phone down. And he sent her a very nasty message, of which she showed me. And I asked him to leave the room, because it was just unacceptable. And I told him, if the police see that message, and I explained that to the police, you'll be going to bloody jail. Anyway, he left the room and came back. And that was his demonstration, to take all his clothes off and sit outside the bookshop. And somebody phoned the police, and he got arrested and then came back and blamed me for it. But that was one of the very early stories. And I won't say his name because he might even be in here, who knows. But that was one of the early stories. So if you move on to the next one. Oh, that's just me in my, a bit embarrassing, in my wheelchair when it was cold. Next. Hello? Oh, that's just basically a picture I put out of the book, because the Gamekeeper book is available on Amazon as well as from the bookshop. So that's about the Gamekeeper, of which I spent many years doing, and then I had marriage problems and packed it all in, started doing voluntary work with the Samaritans and stuff, and ended up doing the prisons on the Isle of Sheppey in the listener scheme, which we would visit inmates who were desperate and suicidal, and we would also train other inmates to become listeners, to go and listen to suicidal inmates in the middle of the night and so on. And then I got a little bit heavily into the prison thing and things that went with it, and then 2003 I came to Thailand to get away for a break really, and basically I've been here ever since. I started Canterbury Tales, which went okay, and subsequently I got a muscle wasting disease and been in a wheelchair now for 6 years. So here I am, but I've managed to keep busy and write that book, which I had to do mostly with my mouse and a keyboard on my second screen. So I click the letters to type. It's a bit slow, but it enabled me to do it, and I put a lot of books online every day. Some of you may see Canterbury Tales plastered all over the Facebook and stuff. And then I wrote the next book, The 20 Years of Canterbury Tales, to note a lot of the funny stories, of which there are many, including the Des one, the Irish guy. And there's quite a lot of people who have passed away since. So it was a bit of a sort of a memoir to leave behind. Next picture. Oh, that's just one of the pictures in there, because you can imagine the people reinvent themselves here in Pattaya, and we had quite a few go through in and out of the doors over the years, and you know, snipers and assassins and all sorts of people, and so on. Next picture, please. Oh, that's a part of the book. That guy there on the left, I always thought he was a mate of mine. We'd known each other for years, and he would come in down the old shop every day, have 5, 6, 7, 8 cups of tea over several hours, and then I found out he'd been putting 2 or 3 of the bins for the tea in his pocket and not paying for them, and it took me about 10 years to find that out. And in the book, the new book of the 20 years, the title of his little bit is 4 Strikes and You're Out, because he done several things like that, and we call him Harry the Jew, because he's any way he can save a baht, he does. So he's in there. Next picture, please. Oh, that's the old Canterbury Tales sign, the original one, from down in Soi Chayapoon. Just something I sort of designed. I didn't realise how the books would take off, because back then there were a lot of bookshops, 5 or 6 others, but slowly they dwindled away, and we kept strong because we you know, had the best choice really. Next picture, please. Oh, that's Clive. Rest in peace, bless his heart. He was, embarrassingly, he was from Canterbury, where I was from. Although I didn't know him then, but he was the Charlie Drake lookalike. And as you can see with his shorts, his shorts would be up round his armpits and down to his bloody ankles. And it was quite a laugh, you know, to with Clive's antics. I remember he was messing about. He was terrible with money. He was always drunk, smoking weed, and he was wrestling about in his pockets, and he pulled out a big wad of notes. And I said, "What are you doing with that, Clive?" And he said, "Oh, I'm lending it to a girl in a bar." And of course that made me, you know, ask him more questions. And he told me that the lady needed 50,000 baht to borrow, because the father of the girl got on the motorbike to go and pick the children up from school, and a tile fell off, hit him on the head. The motorbike went in the pond, all the ducks flew out and frightened the buffalo. The buffalo ran down the road knocking over motorbikes and damaged the car. And with all that going on, the mother had a bloody heart attack. So needed 50 grand for the buffalo damage, the father had damage, and the mother heart attack. Anyway, I said to him, "No way you'll give on," and I literally took the money off him, because he was terrible like that, and he would have given it to her, and so on. But there's quite a few stories of Clive in the book, and some are even funnier than that, really they are. Next picture, please. Oh, that was when I could play golf. Back in the good old days, a fella called Steve on the right, and on the left, the guy on the left is actually only got one leg now. He moved up country, and he tended to drink too much, and he had to have a leg off, so he no longer plays golf. Next picture. Oh, that was a glitter man. Some of you guys may remember him. He used to drive around with his bicycle and all done up like that. I think he was a bit of an attention seeker. But some years ago he went back to the UK. Whether he's been locked up or not, or since, I don't know. But yeah, he was quite a character. Next picture, please. Oh, that's just one that stood out that I put in the book, which is quite true, as you know. Yeah. Next picture. Oh, that was a guy that he got drunk and on drugs, and the police chased him, and you know, one of the things of not to do in Pattaya, and it was just the thought of him walking around naked and the police not wanting to grab him, and they didn't know where to grab him. And another character. Next picture. Oh, that was one of the young ladies working in at a bar opposite the old bookshop, and because one or two of them, like her, were you know, they like to show off and attention seeking, and we used to have a lot of fun with guys going in for a massage. And excuse me, any ladies in here, I know there are one or two, but we would time the guys going in for a massage, how long it took them to come out, and sometimes we'd give them a round of applause if they were longer than about 20 minutes. And sometimes we'd have side bets on how long they lasted, and that was quite funny. And we've even had guys come out and they were so embarrassed they sort of ran off down the road, you know. But yeah, she was quite a spectacle across the road, and the guy in the background trying to ignore her, as you can see. Next picture. Oh, that was just a guy. I talked to him. He was falling in love with this girl, and you know, we've all heard the stories, and you know, the first thing I said to him is, don't fall in love, and he said, too late. And he was one of the victims over the years of every time he came in with a different girl, this one was different, and she wasn't a bar girl, and then a fortnight later he was in again with a different one, and so it went on and on. And there was quite a succession of people like that, and they just don't listen. You know, and people have been here 10, 20 years telling them how to react to things, and they just don't bloody listen, you know. Next picture, please. Oh, that's Derek. I don't know if any of you recognise Derek. Another guy who died. He phoned me up one day. He said he fell off his motorbike and broke his arse. And he'd actually broke his hip, and he ended up going back. Actually, he didn't fall off a motorbike, he broke his elbow when he'd done that. He tripped over a girl on his balcony and broke his arse, which was his hip, and he didn't have the money, and he'd been taking lots of tablets, and he went purple, and we eventually got him back to the UK, and we said, when you're coming into Heathrow, faint a heart attack and then they'll take you to hospital, which he did, and he got looked after. They fixed his hip. He had quite a bit of infection and stuff from his bed sores because he hadn't left the house for about 2 months, and anyway eventually he died, so that was it. But Derek was a bit like Arthur Daly. He would if he couldn't steal it, he'd borrow it. If he couldn't borrow it, he'd beg for it, and so on. So you had to be on your toes with him, you know. But he was hell of a character, and he could sell anything. He would get anything, go to Cambodia for cigarettes and all sorts of vodka and sell it round the bars, and he got away with it for quite a long time. But yeah, he was one character for sure. Next picture, and there he is again. That's Derek again with Paul on the left. Paul from Brighton, the harmonica man we call him. Just another character, rough and ready character, lives in 100 baht a night room. And it's a short time room, so he has to get out during the day when the girls. And I said to him, "Do you stand the sheets up against the wall when you leave?" But rough and ready, but a great laugh, a great lad. Next picture. That's a friend of ours, Bernard, with a Thai guy in the soy. He used to obviously dress up in some weird costumes like that, and we always used to have a whip round and buy him a bit of food and so on, and give him a couple 100 baht. And they found him one morning dead in a doorway up in the soy. So another bit of a legend bites the dust, you know. Next. His name is David Waldron, and if anyone from Ireland will probably know that David in Irish is Dohi, and so and my name's Dave, of course, so he's always Dohi, and he was quite a character, and he had a girlfriend called Maureen. He brought her over from Liverpool, and I won't go into too many details because that's so funny in the book. And then Maureen's daughter came over, Brenda, and so on, but there's a hell of a funny story in the book about all that. And his friend PJ ended up getting married, taking the girl back to Ireland. 3 years later, she done him for 100,000 euros. He had to sell his house to get divorced. And we tried to tell him, you know, that what they're capable of. Not all of them, of course. There's many a good girl out there, as we know. But there's many a bad one as well. Next picture. Oh, that's just my good self. And I wasn't actually pregnant there. I know I look it, but... And that's Ken Doherty. Was playing pool one night round in the Kilkenny. And I was in the early stages of this illness, and I was due to play Ken, and he always let the opposing player break off, but I was so stiff and cold I couldn't break off, so he broke off and cleared the table, but left the black over the pocket, and I went and had a go, but I was I was too stiff and cold, and he went off 4 cushions to pot the black, and he potted the black, and the white followed it in, so I still beat him. So that's my claim to fame with Ken. Next picture. Oh, that's Charlie. Charlie from Coventry. He sees himself as a musician, but when he's playing instruments, a saxophone or the guitar, it sounds like Les Dawson on piano, if you know who I mean. All out of key. And one time he asked me if he could practice the saxophone in the bookshop. So I said, well, go right down the back, because people are talking and so on. And he went down the back, and you could hear this bloody racket. And it got worse and worse, and it got louder and louder as he coming up the bookshop. And I started counting down 5, 4, 3, and he said, why are you counting? I said, because when I get to number 1, I'm going to shove it up your arse. But anyway, he's subsequently nearly blind now. He's had glaucoma apparently, and doesn't come over so much. And that's me just laughing at him, of course. Next picture. That's Bobby the artist, And Bobby from America is quite a character, but his art had a lot to be desired, but he tried his best, and he was usually he's got his pipe in his hand. He'd smoke a pipe and do his art and so on, and he'd stand out in the soil with an easel, drawing or sketching people walking up and down, and it was all quite laughable actually, but he did try. He ended up moving to the Philippines. Not seen him since. Moving on. That's one of Bobby's efforts. Some of you may know Morgan Kent, who used to be one of the Wombles back in the day. Morgan came in fairly regular, and Bobby drew him or sketched him with charcoal, and that was his effort. So next one. That's a guy called Dave from Leicester. He had brain damage, bless his heart, and we eventually got him in because he used to walk up and down the soy, and I thought I've got to get him in the bookshop. He suits the bookshop fine, and we got him in, but he was very, very strange, and of course he was a cross-dresser. But anyway, we had a bit of fun with him, and he took it, he was quite funny as well, so just another Canterbury Tales character. I don't know if you remember, Sandy was another one. Sandy used to dress like that, blonde wig and mini skirt and so on, and it was quite embarrassing because he'd come round to Kilkenny, which was my local. I'd go around and play pool and watch the football back in the day, and Sandy would come round, and I'd tell people, I would say to them, "Oh, here comes my wife," and of course they'd look up and see Sandy coming and was in stitches. But the worst bit was when Sandy was playing pool, he would bend over the table and he had his miniskirt on, and you could see things from the back, so I don't need to explain that, do I? And that was so funny, and he always said to me, "If you take a photo, I'm going to kill you." So I never did, but anyway, next photo. That's obviously Barry on the right, Barry Upton, a regular friend of ours, Morgan in the middle, and Paul and John accompanying him on one of his music extravaganzas, and of course we all have a joke and over John and Paul if they're singing and so on, but all good fun. Next picture. That guy, I hope he's not in here, but anyway, he's an American GI. And he booked into one of the rooms one day, and he started asking me about, it was his first time in Pattaya, asking me all sorts of questions and so on, and just asked me about how the people, take sort of cross-dressers and stuff and general conversation. And I didn't take too much notice until that night somebody took a photo of him, and in a Mons bar opposite, and that was the photo. And I thought, well, fair play to him, and I was looking forward to seeing him to see what he had to say about it and all this, that and the other, and how he felt and so on. But he moved up to Chiang Mai. He left a load of stuff in the room and never ever saw him again, and he sent me an email to say everything in the room throw away. And we had quite a laugh because there was rubber titties and big high heel shoes and stuff, all that sort of stuff he'd left there. So we had a laugh with some of that and then threw it all away. Never saw him again. Next picture. Oh, that was a time back in the floods in Bangkok. Would have been about 10 years ago. I was obviously still walking and driving about. That's me, the pretty one, in the middle. And Dave McCready, some of you may know, on the right, and a fella called Joe on the left, and Dave's daughter, my daughter, and another girl's daughter. Anyway, we were going around collecting for the floods on behalf of the Rotary Club, and we were dressed obviously like that to have a bit of an effect, and it was so much fun, I must say. I almost started doing it full time. But we collected, I think it was something like 260 grand for the floods victims in Bangkok over about a fortnight, and we was down Boys Town and all over the place. It was great fun, and yes, and a very worthwhile cause. And Dave's still around. Joe's not been around for quite some time. Dave moved to the Philippines, but he's back here at the moment for briefly. Next picture. Oh, that's the old Canterbury Tales, just a photo of what it looked like not long before we left and moved to the new location. Next picture. Oh, that's Bobby. He, a friend of ours' son. I've always said he's going to be a Russian assassin when he gets older, because he has that look about him, and he's only about 15 there, and he's a big lad, big powerful lad, and I won't say not all there, but he's quite a character. But, his dad's English and his mum's Thai, but they don't live together. Next picture. Oh, that's me when one of the first times I came to Thailand. First time I came actually was in the Millennium Year, which was quite notable because I took my daughters to Disneyland at the same year, the Millennium, and the first time I actually came to Thailand, I was going through a divorce and so on, and I actually had a holiday for me, you know, for a bloke's holiday, and that was just something from that. Next picture. Oh, that's Hari Krishna. He stays at the moment in OK Place, opposite our new bookshop. Andy, his name is. He got pensioned out of the army at 19 years old. Something fell on him and broke his back and legs and God knows what, and they pensioned him off. And he's now he's got some pancreatic cancer, and he walks around with a colostomy bag hanging out of his trousers, full of bloody pee. And we have said you can actually put that under your trousers because you can feel it bouncing off you when he's talking to you. But he's 70 odd now, and he's right into Hari Krishna, and just another character really. Next picture. Oh, that was Joe, another guy from long ago. He was Canadian. He was in Pattaya, and unbeknown to most of us, he was dealing yaba and all that stuff, some sorts of drugs, and he had to leave Pattaya in a bit of a hurry. Ended up in Phuket and got down, I think that was in Phuket, and he got fighting and arrested. And the next thing I heard, he was a crew member in the King's Cup yacht race in Phuket, and they found him dead in the boat. He'd taken too many drugs, but that was just before that. As you can see, he was quite a character. Next picture. Oh, that's some of you won't recognise him, but the guy, his name's Chris Quentin. he was in Coronation Street, and he was in the Kilkenny one night, and I thought, I know you from somewhere, and I said to him eventually, and he said, oh, Coronation Street. So I said, oh, let me have a photo of you I sent to my mum, because my mum's a big fan of Coronation Street. So I sent the photo to my mum. She said, oh, Chris Quentin and all that. I said, yeah, what about the guy in the middle? And if you look in the middle between our two heads, and that was a guy called Nobby Sargent, who was the roadie for what's his bloody name? Anyway, one of the big pop groups, and he obviously done that without us knowing. But yeah, a bit of fun, and a big hairy arse and so on. And that back in the day when I used to go around to Kilkenny, that was my local, and play pool and watch the football and so on. Next one, please. Oh, that's Jimmy White, the snooker player. He was doing a book signing. Again, that would have been that little girl there is our daughter, our adopted daughter, sort of thing. She was, her mum was a bit promiscuous when she was very, very young, and my wife took her on when she was a baby, when I met my wife, and we brought her up, and she's now 19 in university in Bangkok, as it goes, but there she would have been about 5 or 6. And when Jimmy White done a book signing at the bookshop, and that's me, and that's that's Derek's girlfriend in between. Next picture, please. Oh, that's a guy used to bring in a parrot, and he used to try and charge you 50 baht or 100 baht to have a photo, and he eventually got done for no work permit, so he had to stop doing it. But I got that photo. Next one, please. Oh, that's Jimmy White again, doing his book signing. Next one. Oh, that's us again in drag before one of the nights out, collecting money for the Rotary Club. Next one. Unfortunately, a black and white photo doesn't give it justice really, but that was one of the breakfasts we used to do in Canterbury Tales. Before it was predominantly a bookshop, we did breakfast meals and so on, and we had rooms, and at one point we had 3 buildings with nearly 30 rooms, and was doing a lot of food, breakfasts and lunches and pie and chips and whatever. And the books, slowly I started to feel there was, it was a good idea as more and more and more breakfast places opened, and the margins was already tight. We were doing breakfast for 80, 90 baht, and the profit on that, as you can imagine, is not great. And I remember when I first opened, some people may remember Crazy Dave's, who done a 75 baht breakfast, and we opened opposite, and I didn't tell him we were going to do breakfast. We renovated the building that I'd bought across the road, and we did a breakfast for 65 baht, and Crazy Dave went absolutely apeshit, and because he thought he had the monopoly on the soy, but after about a year of battles and stuff, because he used to get drunk a lot, we moved just over the road to the shop we've just moved out of, although that's 2 years more ago now. And slowly we went away from food, and I realised the books was a much better option, because basically, you get a book, it sits there and people come along and take it, bring it back, trade it in, and it's always worked very well. And basically a lot of you guys who go in there will know, Dang there runs it on his own, because I'm pretty knackered now, but he opens every day, 7 days a week, and closes every day, and we do have other people pop in and my wife now and again and so on, but it's very, very easy to run. And in fact I did put it up for sale, but only just to put a few feelers out, because I don't want to sell it, because it's my purpose, it's what I do and what I love to do and so on. But of course with my health deteriorating, I recently got COPD, the old miner's lung, and my wife said to about selling it before I die. I said, well, make sure you get your priorities right. So we put it up for sale. I've had quite a lot of interest, but I'm in no hurry to sell it. And as I say, it gives me a purpose, and I would always be involved anyway. Next photo, please. Oh, that's just the book cover. Picture of the bookshop on the left and the old shop on the right. Next, and that's the old shop. Going back many, many years ago, in the first year or two, we had a TV. As you can see, we had quite a lot of books already. But we had tables down through there and doing main meals and breakfasts and so on. But yeah, we were quite popular. And there was Neroy's opposite Crazy Dave's as well. They did quite a good trade with fish and chips and curries, so there was always a niche in that market there, Next picture. Oh, that's Joe again, smiling, teeth knocked out, blood everywhere, down in Phuket. Next one. Oh, that's Clive and his famous shorts, and that I sort of mocked up that photo, because that's sort of Clive, his sort of sense of humour. How much is this rent for this gorgeous apartment? It's an off licence, Clive, but yeah, he used to drink and drink and drink. And I remember one day he came in, he absolutely stank of vomit. And Clive, God's sake, go away, get the hell out of here. Bloody flies was flying round. And he hadn't been back to his room yet. And we just, we said, go back to your bloody room. What happened? He said, well, I was in a bar and this girl got drunk and I got her drunk, and she started opening my flies. And I'm thinking, I don't want to know this story, and do excuse me, ladies, but she started to rustle about in his underpants and then vomited all over him. And he took his hanky out that he'd used to wipe up some of the vomit, which also stank. And I asked him, why have you kept the hanky, as a memento or what, But that was Clive all day long, he just a character. Unfortunately, back in the COVID era, he went back, had a collapsed lung and died back in the UK. So that was that. Next, please. Oh, that one. Are we back to the beginning now? Because we've done that one already, haven't we? Oh no, that's Paul on the left, Robin and Richard on the right. Richard was a great guy, he's dead now unfortunately. And the lady with 3 handfuls there, that was just a mock-up I did, just for a bit of fun with Photoshop, because people was always worried when I took photos what was going to end up being done with Photoshop. I'd have them wearing dresses and earrings and all sorts. Next, please. I do apologise. That head on that person is Sandy, and I found that picture just on the internet, and I photoshopped Sandy's head on it, and I sent it to Sandy and a few other people, and Sandy came in. I said, "Have you seen that photo I sent you?" And he had a look at it, and all of a sudden he got really aggravated, and he said, "You make me look like a bloke." And I said, "Well, you know, all due respect, Sandy, you know, you are a bloke." You know? And anyway, he got so angry he left on and never ever saw him again. And that's the photo. So, a little bit rude, but there we are. Next. Oh,
that's the end. You've done it all, David.
Ah, right. Okay. So yeah, that's. Thank you.
Let's turn you around so you can face your judges.
Yeah, you'll have to do that. I can't.
So, who could relate to some of those stories about and think, I've known people like that, right? And I thought it was hilarious that the guy had the parrot and he said 50 baht or 100 baht to take photos with the parrot, and he got done working without a work permit. That's amazing. What an amazing story. Thank you for sharing all those amazing stories.
No problem. You know, there's quite a lot more in the book, but 20 years in Pattaya is probably like 50 years from wherever you come from, isn't it? Because of the different characters.
Yeah,
and
I think
some you have the chemistry with, some you want to strangle them and so on, and it's just been great fun. The best part of it is all the people I've met over the years.
Yeah, 20 years, exactly 20 years since when I first came here 20 years ago. So, all right, any questions? Anybody game to ask a question? Anybody you want to be photographed with a parrot? Well, the books are for sale, and of course he will do some sort of signing thing for them, for the books.
I can if anybody wants one, yeah.
Yeah, and they're marked down for today to 250 baht instead of 300 baht.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Remind us exactly where the bookshop is now.
Okay, the best thing I can say is if you can go on Google Maps, and you must put in Canterbury Tales Bookshop Pattaya. Because what happens is you put in Canterbury Tales, and often, because the old place was Canterbury Tales Cafe, so if you put in Canterbury Tales and then auto text comes up cafe, will take you to the old shop down in Soi Chayapoon. And we're literally, according to Google Maps, 11 minutes walk from Soi Chayapoon to the new location in Soi Bongkok. So we're not far, but the best way to find it is go on to Google Maps, Canterbury Tales Bookshop Pattaya, and that will take you to there. Because I mean, a lot of people don't know Soi Bongkok. You come up opposite Excite, the big new setup they've got on Excite there, where the KFC and everything else is. Opposite there, where the old Cherry restaurant, you go through there, turn right, and just follow that Soi. Don't turn right up to where Nadia's is. Some of you will know Nadia's kitchen, I think it's called. Don't turn right and go up that part of Bangkok. Carry on straight, and then you'll come to a smaller 7-Eleven, and we're right next door, and opposite OK Place Apartments. So it's not difficult to find, but of course a lot of people don't know that area very well. I mean, I didn't when I first went up that way, but by now most people have found where we are. So.
And the parking is quite good near there too for
you can,
the car.
Sometimes, I mean, there's always bike parking right outside and very close by. Very often you can park a car there. if there's only room for 2 cars outside, but just a little bit past us there's some spare ground, and you can park a vehicle on there.
And what's the best times to go there if they've never been there before, so they can catch up with you, have a chat to people, etc.?
Well, I'm there only now on a Monday and Friday. I used to be Monday, Wednesday, and I used to be every day, but then I went down to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because with COPD especially, it's a little bit polluted there from the traffic, because we're right on a fairly main road. And as I tend to, I'm always talking to somebody, and that takes your breath away. So I purely go there Monday and Friday, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Although the last 2 Fridays, in fact, Monday what day is it today? Yeah, Monday I was there till 5 o'clock, because people are in and out, and if people come in, I know I don't leave, so I stay there. So, but I try and go home 2 o'clock. 4 hours is quite enough, really. But I do stay longer than that. But I'm only there Monday and Friday. But we have email. Where's Dang? Dang's there every day, and he's very, very good. He's been with us bloody donkey's years. So he knows how it all runs. So his English is pretty good. He knows where most of the books are, so you can ask him anything if I'm not there.
And what's the thing? Because if you bring a book, you put a book in and you take a book out. It's cheaper, yeah.
You come in, you can trade in books you have from anywhere else, and we'll give credit on them depending on the author, the age, and the condition. And then you can use that credit to buy our books. And when you buy our books, say you buy a book for 100 baht, when you finish with it, and there's no time limit, you bring it back and you get half of that, 50 baht, off the next book. And most people do. They bring in 2 or 3 that they bought from us, and 2 or 3 that they got somewhere else or whatever. And it keeps the stock turning over. And we have thousands of books. If you've ever been in, you'll know. Just about every genre that's going. We've got German, French, Scandinavian, and we even have Hungarian books. A very kind lady gave me a load of Hungarian books, and I've never had a Hungarian customer since. So anybody wants some Hungarian books, and they're beautiful, brand new, look lovely on a bookshelf, but and we have Italian and French and Dutch and so on, and all the Scandinavians. Yeah. So, but predominantly we have a lot of war books, and they're all in their sections: history, politics, true crime, biographies. We have a massive various section, and just the other day I asked Dang to take some photos of some of the various books, because what I do is I take some of them, look at some of them, and I put them on the internet just to let people know what we've got. And we have a cooking section, and it's where the romance books are and the children's books. And I looked at these books, and the first one in amongst all the cooking books I found was male sexuality. So I thought, what the hell's that doing in there? Anyway, I contacted Stuart, my mate who helps me sort books out. And I said, Stuart, I know you're a little bit confused about your sexuality, but I said, you put male sexuality in the cookbooks. And I showed him the photo. And then I looked at more photos, and there was the book of the orgasm in amongst the cookbooks as well. And I thought, well, somebody's having a joke here. Anyway, luckily I got hold of him, and he put them. We have an erotica section. Of course, you need in Pattaya an erotica section, so all that sort of stuff goes in there. But yeah, we have thousands of fiction, and they're all in A to Z. They are a little bit scruffy in as much as they're not exactly A to Z, because I can't do anything anymore. Stuart's very limited, and of course Dang's serving all the time. So, but they're more or less, Jeffrey Archer right the way round, just up and down, follow it. And then there's science fiction and biographies. We have a big sports section in another little area, all the foreign books in another area, all the lady romance books, cooking books, health books, diet books, and children's books, all in the same area. So yeah, they're all pretty well set out, but if you're into books, try not to rush in 5 minutes and have a good browse, because people are looking for certain books. They might not be in the right place, they might be in the various section or whatever. But we do have a very good selection. And we're always looking for books. If you've got books, don't throw them away, bring them in and trade them in, or give them to us, whatever you want to do. But, I hate throwing them away.
I'm going to guess there's a copy of one book you do not have. What one do you think I don't? I think you always goes as soon as it comes in.
Sorry, Rena.
Which book do I think always goes out the door as soon as it comes in?
Private Dancer.
Private Dancer.
Yeah,
yes.
Stephen Leather. They always used to call it the Pattaya Bible, the Thailand Bible.
Yep.
And Stephen
who here has read Private Dancer? Right, that's a big proportion of the club.
It's like bloody gold dust. Stephen used to bring them in years ago and sign them, and I'd have 50 of him off at a time. And in fact, one time I had 100, and they flew out, and that's it. And now he's obviously a very prominent writer now.
Yeah.
And although I know he has a Thai wife and daughter, but I've not seen him down in Pattaya for a long time.
Yeah, the other thing about it is once you've got it and you read it, you never give it away, because it's the first thing you hand to somebody when a first timer in Thailand is a copy of Private Dancer.
Yeah, we've probably sold, in the best part of, although early on, 20 years, we would have sold 500 easy, and the majority of them have never come back.
Yeah.
People keep them and so on, and I go all over the internet on Bangkok book sites and, wanted Private Dancer. But you just don't get anywhere.
You should come into a relationship with Stephen Leather and print some.
Yeah, well, I have the book on PDF, which I could send out, but due to the copyright, I can't.
Oh, of course.
But no, unless they come in, and we just don't get them,
I've got a copy for sale for 10,000 baht, actually.
Right, let me think about that.
A huge round of applause for one of the great characters. Talks about great characters of Pattaya. A little token of our appreciation, mate.
Wonderful, thank you. Wonderful. Couple.